Here we go. Here we're live now, and well, let me get all of us on screen. Here we go.
Good
Yes. Good morning.
morning.
Good morning to everybody. Yes. Good morning, Rebecca. Good morning, team. Good morning, Yuka, who is with us in Clubhouse, and good morning to everybody watching us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook as well. It is such a pleasure to have you with us again on this midweek. This Wednesday morning. Finally, we have some sun here in Tokyo, and
Yes,
hopefully, yes, indeed. Hopefully, next week we'll have some cherry blossoms too, because nothing has been blooming yet. Okay, so today I am so very pleased and excited to introduce Rebecca Callahan. So she is a new guest speaker for us, and well, as you have seen on our visual for this podcast, we're going to talk about anime and comics and trans. Okay, that was transmedia.
Transmedia.
Yes,
Transmedia.
yes, yes. So Rebecca, thank you so very much for agreeing to be our guest speaker. Just a few words for the people who watch us. Rebecca has moved to Japan only recently, and she has a long career, and also she has lived and moved across East Asia for a while. And she has that rich experience of living in different countries, but not only that, working from different countries and doing the things she loves while there. So, Rebecca, I don't want to keep anybody waiting anymore. I'll just give you the floor, and we'll start from with you from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, well, hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Quick introduction, I guess. I was an English professor in South Korea, and but I always wanted to be a writer. So I started. I pursued tribe publishing for a while. Didn't work out. So I started my own writing agency, and I quickly discovered that there was actually, at the time, a big market for narrative design, other kinds of game writing, especially for indie studios, small studios, indie designers. And I roped my husband in, Linus Callahan, who we've already had on the show. And we founded Callahan Creatives and started writing for games and web comics. We did board games. We did a lot of interactive fiction. And I love interactive fiction, anything that really engages the reader and pulls them into the story. So that quickly became my specialty. Linus focused a lot on more of the games, and I did a lot of the interactive fiction writing. Eventually, my favorite client, Ben, if he ever watches this, he'll enjoy that. He got funding and created Go 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 Comic and invited me to come on full time as managing editor and now editorial director. And after Japan opened up after COVID, we came to Japan. And that was in August of 2022. So we haven't been here that long, but we've been enjoying it quite a lot. And as you already know, my husband's a shakuhachi player, so we have ties here and intend to remain for quite some time. But what Go 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 Comic does is it does transmedia comics, live tweeted comics, and also short form anime posted on TikTok and other short form video sites. And what I do as editorial director, of course, there's a lot of editing, but I'm also in charge of a lot of the live operations. So when we publish, it isn't just a question of we put the material out there and it just sits there and anybody who finds it can read it. When we put it out, we're putting it out in real time, as it were. So if the character is entering the woods at night, we post it at night, right? People can then respond to that post, whether it's a video or a tweet. And the character, or rather someone writing as the character, will respond to them. And then in the morning, when when it's time to reveal the mystery, we post that in the morning. Again, people can respond, character will respond to them. There's constant interaction going on. That's why we call it's a live ops anime or live ops manga, right? So it's a very different paradigm, but the fans absolutely love it. And I feel like I've gone on enough. I want to talk about our original character program, but I don't want to. Maybe we need to back up and explain more about the live ops.
who came up with this concept, Rebecca? Yeah.
Live operation. That was Ben. Yeah,
Okay.
Ben came up with the concept and was pushing it for quite some time. And the Conspiracy Research Club, which is our biggest comic, most successful, was actually started by Merriweather. If you're familiar with Merriweather,
I'm not.
Oh, I'm not.
Merriweather is a pretty well-known online comics writer
Okay.
with a very big fan base. So he and Ben collaborated, created the Conspiracy Research Club. And then Merriweather had to leave the project for various reasons, and later I was brought in as lead writer. So I kind of worked my way up: lead writer, managing editor, editorial director.
Right.
When did you know that this was going to catch on? Like at what point? How soon? How long did it take to build that brand?
I mean, the cop out answer is we knew it was going to catch on when it got funding from Techstars. It was,
Right.
but I was sold on it from the beginning. I sometimes like to remind Ben I cut my rates pretty significantly so I could work on the project, even when it was still just quite tiny. I just loved the idea of we're not just putting a story out there and people read it passively and we don't have any chance to interact with them or to draw them in or to play with them. I mean, that's really the point, is play. And they love it and I love it. I love getting in there as one of the characters on Twitter. um, I'll log in as one of them and talk to the fans, and I'm always within 5 minutes I'm just like rolling on the ground laughing. So it's so funny, it's so much fun, and it really is just a wonderful relaxing form of play for us and for them. And it's created some incredibly dedicated fans who are spending huge chunks of their lives interacting with us and creating their own content under the umbrella of our IP, which is again getting into the original characters program, which is personally one of my favorite parts as a former fanfic writer in high school.
Hey, I just want to rub real quick. What is this? I'm getting some background noise. Does anyone know where that's coming from? Am I the only one?
Oh, now
Okay.
it's slower.
It said something and it went down, so
Huh.
Yeah. I
Oh,
don't know what that is. Huh.
let me see if I mute.
It sounds like my humidifier, but my humidifier is not on, so I'm safe.
yeah, it's much better now. I cannot hear it at this moment.
Okay.
Okay, good.
There you
So thank you guys. That we were hearing that background noise. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot
Now we
for
can hear.
yes.
I was very the volume was low, but I think getting better. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, and Rebecca, so okay, going back to our topic today, I wondered because to me it's always interesting to hear about the creative process. What
Right.
does the creative process include? Because every one of us has, or every agency of course, but every person goes through a different creative process because our brains work in slightly different ways. So
Oh, yeah.
what is it, right? What is it for you, and what is it that actually or what you do so that you get that all these let's say tasks one by one, the steps to go through all the steps.
Yeah. It's a good question. Coffee is
Coffee.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, sorry.
that's the first step every morning is coffee. At least one cup, maybe two.
Right.
Nothing happens without the coffee.
That's yes,
um,
the magic potion.
yes, very
Right. Yes.
out of my favorite mug. It's better if it's out of the crow mug. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. It says coffee. It's
Cool.
CA. Anyway, sorry, I'm a big crow
Yeah.
fan.
But
And
caffeine is good.
yes,
Right.
in any format.
Yeah.
It's interesting because there's my personal creative process, there's the company creative process, and then there's also the process of balancing creativity with a lot of administrative directorial tasks. And that last one took a little time to perfect. because it can be hard to be creative when you're getting pinged for messages and you know that you've got, to meet this person and create this template and so my personal creative process, it really is. Some days it's just as simple as sitting down in front of, actually not sitting, I often lay down. I've, got a bit of a bad back, so I lay down in front of the computer and just start writing. That's a good day. If it's not a good day, sometimes I have to pause and kind of cover my eyes and I just envision the scene. I can envision it quite clearly, like a movie. And I'll sometimes run it a few times, run variations on it, like, oh, what if this happened? What if that happened? But mostly it kind of flows naturally. And once I have a good grasp of the scene, then I can actually start typing it up. Dialogue, I've always found to be extremely easy because I'm just hearing the voices talk to each other, not hearing the voices, hearing the characters in my mind, just to clarify. I hope you all know what I mean, but
Yes, no, sorry. Yeah, I think that everybody knows what you mean. So
you need to be absolutely sure. It's
okay.
hearing voices telling me,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I can usually, the dialogue flows very naturally. I put myself in the character's shoes. And what would they say, what would they do in these circumstances, then switch to the next character. Okay, what do they say, what do they do? And I'm always striving for that natural feeling, like it was a mistake I made as a young writer. I would have a strong message or a strong plot point that I really wanted to get in there, and I would sort of bend the story around that or the characters around that, with the result that the plot became very tangled and the characters started to behave unnaturally for them. And now I kind of try to set a lot of that aside. I'll still have a theme in mind, or there might still be a destination for the story, but a lot of it is focusing on what flows naturally. What would the characters themselves really do in this situation? And that's really helped keep my writing fresh and keep the story moving quickly and the characters feeling very true to themselves. So that's my creative process.
I love that. And actually, in the stories I've written in the past, of course, I'm not on your level, but the fun part was I did learn to develop the character.
Mm.
And then I would create a situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know until I threw the character into the situation how it was going to evolve. And that was the fun part to me.
Yes, that is
right?
the fun part. Yeah.
Because you don't even know until you get there. So it kind of keeps you engaged. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a question of, are you a plotter or a pantser?
Oh,
Have you
okay.
heard that expression, plotter and pantser?
No, what's
I
So a plotter, you start by creating a detailed outline. You've got every detail hammered down, and once
Right.
you have that all figured out, you then start writing.
Right.
A pantser is what you described. You've got a character, you've got a situation, and go. And you don't know what's going to happen, right? You have no idea. You're just writing it and seeing it as it develops. Yes.
Right.
So I started off very much as a pantser when I was younger. If I knew what was going to happen, I got bored, so I'd stop writing. But then as I became, as I started working professionally, of course, you have to become more and more of a plotter because you have goals and your client has goals. So you need to have an outline. You need to be sure that you're going to arrive at the destined end point. I still try and keep it loose, from beginning to end, so it can flow naturally. I'll circle back to that in just a second, but you do have to have more of an outline. And these days I do, especially for my personal writing, I do a little bit of both. I do, there's definitely an outline still, but I'm a lot more likely to say, when I'm struggling and I've got my eyes covered and I'm envisioning the scene, if it takes me in a different direction, I'm happy to go in another direction, right? Working with how the story itself is naturally flowing and what the characters will actually do is very important to me. that in between, right?
Right. Yeah.
I was
I,
thinking that it's really a very specific skill to be able to let go, like let go, just let the story flow, even if it is not in the way you initially imagined it would. So, and I think that I have never been a good writer, or if I write, I write only essays, never, stories and so on. But the thing is that, it's just for me, I imagine that this will be the most difficult part, actually, to let the story flow the way it does without me trying to twist it to, just
oh.
to convey my message. So, how did you get to that point? How did you achieve that?
I for me it's the other way around. I started as a pantser, right? So I would just I would it just flowed. I didn't know what the ending was going to be. I sort of
Right.
had an idea sometimes, but it would just go. Um, I for me the struggle has been to let the story flow naturally and not be forcing it in an unnatural way, but also to maintain craft. And that's one of the big things for me is it's not just writing as inspiration, it has to be writing as a craft. You have to be inspired, you have to let things happen, and you have to have a great story and great characters, but you also need to be thinking about how will the audience react. What is the pacing of the story? Is it going too fast? Is it going too slow? Are people going to follow? How am I demonstrating this character's traits? I sometimes, oh, let me see. In an early novel, I wrote a character who was very complex, and I knew that she was very complex, but it wasn't coming across to the reader. And I realized that after talking to some people, that the full complexity of her was not coming across in the storyline. I needed to include more reactions from her, more sort of interiority to show the reader just exactly who she was, right? It's sometimes overcoming the gap between what I know about the story and the characters and what the reader knows about the story and the characters. That's where the skill comes into play, is making sure that gets across in a way that isn't unnatural, in a way that doesn't feel like, and now this is the part where I develop the character,
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree. I'm very similar to you. I'm more of a pantser.
Mhm.
Everything I do, like that's more like my natural inclination. And even when I would give seminars, I have a general direction, but every one is different because I react, and that's part of the, how would I say? I come up with creative ideas when I allow myself that much freedom, but it's all in the moment stuff. And so I think I write that way as well. So that's
Yeah.
really interesting. I thought I was the only weirdo who wrote that way. I thought it was just me.
I
So
don't think so. I'm pretty sure George R. R. Martin does the same
oh,
thing.
okay.
We don't have the last book. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. You reminded me. The best part about writing is when you have those spontaneous ideas while you're writing, and it's when you, especially when you throw in a little detail and you're not even sure why, it just seems like the right thing to do, or it just fills in a little, right? And then 3 chapters later you suddenly realize, oh, that's what that is for, that ties in with this. And you almost get the sense it's like the story is being told through you, or there's some sort of intuitive happening, right? And you can see the shape of it in unfolding for you. That's my absolute favorite moment in writing, is realizing that it's all coming together in a way that even I didn't anticipate.
It's your subconscious is working on it, and you don't realize what's happening in the background. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. Yeah, it's just clicking away, and then it just sort of all comes to it, all of a sudden it all falls together, and you're like, oh wow, that would have been genius if I'd planned this all in advance.
yeah.
Well, that's your creative genius, so that at the end of the day, even though you don't realize it, it is what, even though you didn't plan it, it happened. You put it out there, that small detail that eventually was so important, maybe 20 pages later.
Oh,
So,
I'll take all the credit for sure.
yeah. Yes.
Definitely It's all I had it all planned out in advance. It definitely wasn't a happy accident in any way.
Right.
So
You know,
let
I
me.
think,
I'm so fascinated. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Okay.
go ahead, Yuka.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry, Rebecca. Thank you. It's very fascinating story. So I have to ask you a bunch of questions if I can.
oh yeah, sure.
Can you? Yeah. So I'm just looking at this 555 comic. Is that how you pronounce this agency's name?
It's American and Japanese, so it's go 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 or 555, sort of
Oh,
depending.
I see.
sorry. Okay, because I'm reading your website. Okay, I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, that's what the go 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 means. I thought you meant like a go. Okay, all right.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I thought so too.
You know, those like so it's very interesting that you got funding for this agency. I mean, funding in any industry is a big success accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
And in this anime and the comic industry is it's notoriously very cutthroat, very competitive. So, and then you talked about this, the storyline, and so what makes you guys so different? That going back, behind success behind. I'm sorry, the factors behind your success, because any platform these days just I'm like an anime obasan, anime otaku obasan. So I'm watch gazillion of anime every year, but it just I can tell the good anime not only beautiful but the story has to be there. So I guess is that the differentiation factor for Go 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 comic?
I would say, we certainly do our best with the story, and especially with Conspiracy Research Club. And here's a little self promo. I write the spin off of Conspiracy Research Club as well. I also write the Paranormal Research Club, which is just a comic at this stage and not yet an anime. Yeah, the story is there. The characters are much beloved, and we have a very strong, engaged fan base. I would say, though, what differentiates us is the technique of live posting, of focusing on short form live tweeted comics and short form anime, and running it as a live ops where the characters actually interact. That was what sold me on Go 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 comic, in the first place. When I was had my agency and Ben reached out to me and said, "Would you be interested in writing for us?" I got on Twitter and I was like, this is amazing. It's, the characters, the character puts up a post as part of their story, and you, the fan, say something, and Luna, the main character, will respond to you. I was like, as a kid, I would have cut off my left pinky to have Hermione Granger talk to me, right? That was it. I was blown away. I loved it so much. I was like, I have to be a part of this. And that's how I signed on. So there's the short form live ops nature of it. There's the interaction, and then there is the original characters program, I've played a very big part in running and in encouraging and mentoring our fans. I've run courses for them and boot camps to help teach them how to create their own stories. And the original characters program, in a nutshell, is we've created a story, right? A universe. And the setting of Conspiracy Research Club is Poppy Valley. So that one we call it's the Poppy Valley universe. And we have our characters and our storyline. But fans are encouraged to create their own character within that universe. They can use our profile pic generator to create a profile pic of themselves. They join a school, one of the other schools that is in Poppy Valley. There's 4, and they can join one of the 3 other schools. And then they join our Discord and interact with the community, create their own stories, and put up their own stories on Twitter. And this is done under the umbrella of our IP, but they own those characters and their stories. And so what went from there's, in Poppy Valley, there's one story about Luna, right? Is now there's, 100 stories, 200 stories about a whole cast of characters living in this very strange conspiracy riddled universe. and it like hugely multiplied the number of stories and the amount of interaction, and has created some really like uncovered some amazing artists and writers in their own right, and who are just a pleasure to work with every day. I love them to death.
There's so many layers to this now. As I listen to you, it's getting deeper and deeper. And just a silly question though. When the character responds, is there a real live person?
Oh yeah.
That? Okay. I figured I wasn't AI. It's a real person.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Is it like so standing by? That's interesting.
Yeah. How does it happen?
How does it work? Somebody standing by? The voice actors?
Oh yeah, it's okay. So there's two. You have the videos and the comic on Twitter. There is a team, and you have that's the getting into, I said, like the difficulty of managing the creative plus the management. There's quite a lot of management, but every comic has a team of at least a writer and usually a community manager as well. And the community manager's job is to periodically, when the post goes live with the latest story update, they're there and they are responding to fans. And they'll usually check back in a couple of times on that post and respond to more fans. It's a formula. Sometimes, sometimes we've responded to every fan. Sometimes we only respond to 20% of fans. Still trying to find that exact number, right? It's a work in progress. But fans, comment on the post, and the community manager responds. As the characters, the community manager has access to the Twitter accounts of all the characters in that storyline. The really fun part is when you start making the characters argue amongst themselves in the comments. That is crack.
Okay, question is then, so you mentioned that behind every character there is a real person, and then when those characters, when they start arguing among themselves, does it mean that the real persons behind them argue?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
For example,
I do that all the time. I always argue with myself, so that's good.
Just letting it out, right? Basically, for example, Paranormal Research Club, which is my comic. I'll go, Patricia's the main character. It's paranormal, so she's a witch, and she puts up, her post, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that post is scheduled. That can be. It doesn't have to be a live post. It's already scheduled. But the community manager, or me, depending on who's on duty, will pop in there and respond to some fans as Patricia. So writing in Patricia's voice. Every one of our characters has a very distinct tweeting style for this reason. So, adopting Patricia's voice, I respond to a fan. But maybe she says something that sets off another character. So I'll log in as that character, right? And say Lucas, and in Lucas's voice, I will answer Patricia and kind of argue with her or tease her or something, and then Patricia, log back in as Patricia, respond as Patricia, log in as Lucas, right, and just go back and forth, and it's hilarious usually, or sometimes it's devastating. Sometimes they're actually arguing. And you can almost hear the fans go behind their screens, right, as they're watching this argument unfold in real time. But usually they're sort of teasing each other, or they're teasing one of the fans. We get to know our fans quite well because we're interacting with them. So the regulars who show up or who have been there since the beginning, we can poke a little fun at them, or we can compliment them or reference their storyline. We often keep detailed notes, in fact.
Wow.
So this type of engagement, like a fan is engaging with you guys. So this is what you call transmedia comics, anime? Is that how you describe this business model?
So that's what I would call the live ops side, because it is a live situation, right? The transmedia side is that you have one story, one IP that's being expressed simultaneously in many different ways. So we have the Conspiracy Research Club as our story, and that is being expressed through Twitter posts. The characters are posting and creating a storyline via their posts. It's being expressed in the anime on TikTok, so they're posting videos. It's being expressed in the interactions with the fans, and we're actually now looking to expand into streaming and VTubers. So eventually it will be expressed, there will be a VTuber of Luna having her own stream and doing a storyline, right? So that's what transmedia is that you're telling a story through a lot of different mediums all at once. And the idea is that it creates a larger interactive universe than just having a story on the page, so that fans can follow the story and feel like it's really happening much more strongly.
In real time.
Yeah, because it's in real time and they're sort of surrounded by it, at least digitally. Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So so I'm assuming this is a global thing. So does that mean you have to have people on staff 24/7 or 24 hours?
It's not quite that labor. It is labor intensive. I won't lie, but it's not quite that labor intensive. It's because we don't have to respond within 30 seconds to a fan.
Gotcha.
And so like I said, like the community manager will probably be there when the post goes live or within an hour or two to respond to that initial wave of comments. But then they will check back in once or twice, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll move on to the next post, right? So it's not we don't cater to the fans quite that much. It's not immediate, like push a button and a character responds.
Gotcha.
It's natural. It's human, right? You're busy. You're not checking Twitter.
Right.
When the school day ends, you check back, you see the comments, you answer them 6 hours later, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this service subscription basis or it's free for the fans?
At the moment, it is free.
Wow, really?
Yes, at the moment it is free. We are looking at some different models going forward, and that's something that's still in development, so I can't really talk about it that much.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to.
Meetings later this week.
No, sorry, just kidding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, at the moment it is free. Like any of you right now could go onto gogogocomic.com and you can create your own character using our profile generator, set up a Twitter account, use that as your picture, and start tweeting as a character in Poppy Valley. And if you join the Discord, you'll immediately meet 300 other people who are doing the same thing. They've got tips, they've got tricks, they collaborate on storylines. We have channels set up just for collaboration where somebody might post, hey, I want to tell a story about Bigfoot. Who's in? Right? And two other people will say, yeah, let's do it. Let's plan a whole story. And they plan what they're going to tweet and when. Artists come in and create art. A lot of them are already very talented artists. Some of them commission artwork from artists, right?
Right.
And sometimes they just do text posts. And so they cooperate, and then within a couple of weeks or a month, the story goes live, and all the fans respond, and yeah, it's great.
I love it.
I love it too. Yeah, because it's exactly what an open source, like an open source model at this point of time, and you can tap into the creativity of thousands and thousands of people across the globe.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. And what I really love while listening to you, I was thinking, and I imagine that the people you work with, you love your job, and there is nothing better for creativity, when you love what you do. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, I'm so happy that we can witness you talking, we hear you talking about this, and feel that love for your work.
When I listen to what you guys are doing, I'm almost like I would be afraid to join because I think I'd get addicted.
Oh, yeah.
It's very addictive, and I mean that in a good way. But wow.
No, like I said, we've had some very dedicated fans who have invested a lot of time into this. We found some, like I said, some really amazing talents, and it's also been a pleasure to watch people who were very good but then get better with coaching, right? There's a couple I'm thinking of in particular who were already quite talented artists and writers, but then they received special mentoring because we could see that talent. For example, our lead artist, Roisin, would give classes on Discord on just how to draw, and especially how to draw a little bit more in our style. And I ran those courses, those boot camps on creating storylines. I had writers' rooms where three of the fan creators would join me, and we would discuss their idea for a storyline, and I would give feedback and say, okay, well, I think this is looking pretty good, but the ending is a little abrupt. You need some kind of stinger in there or something to hint to the audience that this isn't over, right? Something along those lines. And we can't always give that amount of detailed feedback, but the opportunities we've had to do so have been lovely, and it's definitely paid off. We've been working on a number of things. We're working right now on merging the Twitter storyline has been running longer than the TikTok storyline. We're now bringing those storylines, the timelines together so that they're operating at the same time. So we've been on pause for a little bit while we're sorting all of that out. And yet our fan community has just been chugging along. Like, even though we haven't posted a new Luna post in a month or so, they're just still going. They're still posting their stuff and engaging and keeping Poppy Valley, ticking along while we're, sort of in the background tinkering.
Right.
You created this organic world. I got this weird mind, that kind of goes off in different directions. But as I'm listening to you, one of my criticisms of social media has been we dehumanize each other, and then there's a lot of negativity, right?
Yeah.
In a weird sense, communicating through these characters, I feel like it has a humanizing effect, because you're almost living vicariously through the character, but you're also collaborating creatively, which is another way to express your humanity, that creativity. So to me, like, this is all new to me now listening to you, but it seems like a healthy way for people to interact online.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm overthinking it, but this is just kind of.
I thought so too. I was like, wow, this is probably the best use of Twitter.
Yes.
Communities. And especially when we realized how much they wanted to be a community. Initially, a lot of our approach focused on competition. Like, oh, let's set up games, let's set up contests, let's set up, things the fans can compete with each other for. And those, at first they were popular, but then they quickly stopped. The fans stopped interacting with them a lot. And we came to realize that they really weren't interested in competing with each other at all. They wanted to cooperate. They wanted to communicate. They wanted to collaborate. They wanted to be part of a big community. That was what really mattered to them, was being part of the community. And it is a very, it is not a perfect community, because no internet community is. But compared to many, it's absolutely healthy, thriving, supportive, lovely times, right?
Yeah.
We had, even things like we very unfortunately had one of our creators die of an illness not very long into the program. I'm trying to remember, maybe 6 months into the program. And the way the community came together and created tribute art for her and posted, and her sister was posting on her account, letting people know that that this community had been a huge comfort to her in her last days in the hospital. When she couldn't do anything else, she could pretend to be this character in Poppy Valley and interact with the other fans and create with them. And her sister said that made all the difference, that it made her so happy. And the community responded with this just absolutely massive outpouring of love and emotion when she passed on. So it's getting a little choked up, actually. It was
I love that, because we're talking about the communities you created. But also, I think that it is so very true also on a larger scale. When you think about people, when you compete, constantly compete, you
Mm.
get tired, and at the end of the day, competition just takes you south. Whatever you do, it could be even, I'm talking even in business,
Mm.
especially. And so, of course, companies compete, but and at the end of the day, if they don't collaborate too, if they
Yeah.
don't come together, so to co-create or maybe co-advocate for themselves or whatever, so things just deteriorate sooner or later, and it is even much more so between people. So I was listening to you and thinking about that, how it is so very important nowadays to actually think about collaboration, because through collaboration you can create stories or co-create stories, you can co-create value, you can co-create anything,
Yeah.
while you all go into your own direction. So I love what you're doing,
Yeah.
even
Mhm.
even because of this, it's
Yeah.
just fascinating.
Well, I'm actually really glad you brought that up too, because that's it was something I wanted to mention, especially you're talking about that this was all free. We are, we've been there's been a lot of discussion internally, and we have started to take on some select clients and doing collabs with other companies because we have this great model that we've I won't say perfected, but we're getting there. It's this wonderful model for live ops anime and for creating original character communities. And now we're starting to collaborate with other companies and helping them move their IP in that direction and giving them the structure and the expertise to do so.
I love
Um,
that.
I think that's a great idea. I think
Yeah.
I'm sure there are the many. I don't think you will, you know, there's so many more the clients that you can get more than you can handle. Probably there's so many IPs out there
Mm.
underutilized.
Yeah.
This question. So listen, I found you today. I didn't know someone like you existed.
mhm.
So how I could have found you? Like, is
Mhm.
that all your fans come to you through word of mouth, or how I could have found you?
We've had great success in advertising on TikTok. That's been and also on Twitter, but Twitter is things have changed on Twitter, and it is now harder to advertise. Most of our fans found us through ads or through word of mouth on Twitter or on TikTok. But as we expand out to other platforms, right, we're going to continue advertising on those platforms. Um, and I think we need to make a bigger push actually to advertise our client collaboration services and really get the word out there that we are open for business in that way. Um, and yeah, I'm trying to think, how do people find us? Mostly, yeah, ads, word of mouth, and then also, oh, we used to have a comic on Webtoon, and a lot of people found us through that. So I would actually, talking about transmedia, right? You have one story that's being conveyed through a variety of mediums. I would really like to get a traditional web comic going again as well. That's sort of my little personal project desire. I
Yeah.
do love I do love writing comics in all kinds of ways. The Twitter
Mhm.
comics are really fun, but I like writing web comics as well, more
Yeah.
traditional.
You
Mhm.
know, Rebecca, so I have been thinking about you for a while after we first met, maybe a month ago or so, because there is a company I actually work with at the moment, and I have been thinking about creating a story for that company, and let's say a series of short ads. But I want that story, and I think that you would be the perfect person to ask, to create the story. And I don't know whether you take such projects or not. So yeah, because this is, I mean, like, I would love to work on that with you, and so that come up with a narrative, because you know once again, people, and also people remember stories. And when the stories are made about people, it helps humanize, the companies. It helps humanize the organizations. And so I wondered, I have been thinking about you and just like, would Rebecca really think about this, or just want to give it a try, or something like that. And yeah, I don't know. If your answer is yes, I'm so very happy to hear it. But of course, you can say no, no, no. I'm too busy to do it too. So
I'm very fortunate because I think we discussed this on our call last month,
yes,
or this
yeah,
month, it was, that our daughter is going to elementary school now. So we are bringing back Callahan Creatives, and Linus and I will be working on that together. It will mostly be Linus, but I mean, Linus is working on a project. Of course, I'm going to come over and lean over his shoulder and be like, "What you doing?" It's sitting in on meetings and brainstorming together. We've always been writing partners. We do call him the unofficial. He's the unofficial employee of Go 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 Comic. He
right.
actually he had to
What?
sign it. He had to sign an NDA because it was clear how much I was telling him
Yeah.
because I was bouncing ideas off of him. So
Mhm.
Callahan Creatives is open and taking clients for narrative design.
Very good.
And then if you're interested in more of the transmedia live ops side, Go 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 Comic is taking select clients as well. Um, and yeah, I think you're so right about the stories. This is a little bit of a tangent. Did any of you ever watch the Thai life insurance commercials that were popular?
No, I haven't.
Yes, I
Okay.
cried also.
Yeah,
No matter
yeah.
how many I watch that, I cry.
Oh,
Yeah. If you want to cry, like just watch some Thai life insurance commercials. They tell stories, and
Right.
the stories are very well done and usually very heartbreaking in the human sense. It's about a father working working manual labor jobs to support his daughter at school, but he doesn't want her to know that he's spending all day hauling sacks of concrete or rice. I can't remember. So he dresses up in a suit to go and pick her up. And she writes an essay at school about how her daddy is a liar, but she knows it's because he's worried about her and that he wants her to be proud of him. And then he's reading the essay, standing there with tears streaming down his face, and he realizes his daughter knew all along, but that she loves him so much that she doesn't care. And it's just like it's stories like that. You just if you need a good cry, go watch a Thai life insurance commercial. But I think it illustrates your point. And the fact that I remember that, I think I saw that video like 7 years ago. It stayed in my mind because it was just such a good story told in just a few minutes. And it really just, stayed with me. So, yeah, absolutely. Stories are fantastic for that. And I would love to cooperate with you.
okay. Just
You're
yeah. Sorry, I think that Rebecca couldn't hear you. Could you please say that again?
Oh
Sorry.
no, sorry, no. There are so many virgins, and then there are always, yeah. I mean, it's you that makes you feel that okay, humans are all good. that
Yes.
that in that commercial, the all virgins make you feel that way. But I'm just remembering and tearing up. Thank you.
Mm.
me too. Like, I'm thinking about the daughter and I'm getting a little teary.
Yeah, and it's also true. The other day, I think at school, we were shown a commercial. Was it? That was an Amazon commercial actually, and it was about a family and a young family with a baby and a dog. Maybe you have watched that commercial too, but the story goes that well, basically the family is having fun, and that baby, is just sitting in her mother's on her mother's knees, and the dog comes in, and then the baby starts crying because she's scared of the dog, and then the dog suddenly becomes so sad and goes to the other room, and then the father notices that the feelings, and so what happens is that the father actually orders lion's mane, for the dog. So, and then the next cut is that you have the dog with the lion's mane, and then the baby's like reaching out to the dog to pet it, and so on and so on. And yeah, so one of my classmates there, she said, "Oh, it's so cheesy," but it's I think, yeah, there is certainly, that element to it, but at the same time, I think that this is what makes people, feel good about
Yeah.
others as well, not only about themselves, but about others as well, and about organizations once again, which is really great. So,
Yeah.
because we need more of that, I think, in our life. We don't want people to tell us, oh, that person is evil, or, the other person is such a be, oh no, whatever. you know so
I like cheesy. I love cheesy.
yeah, it's like, and I mean, I don't like the expression, but I love such stories. I love to watch such stories. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, people connect with stories just in such a
Hmm.
different way. I've always been a big believer in teaching through stories. I know that most of the life lessons that I learned, I can point to my childhood bookshelf, right?
Yes.
All
Oh,
the
me
important
too. Yeah.
messages, yeah, all the important messages. A lot of the things that made me the person I am today. I could even tell you what books taught me that. You
Yeah.
Hmm.
know,
The,
Yeah.
um,
the brain is wired to retain stories. That's how we transferred culture throughout all generations of humanity before we had writing.
Yeah.
And and it was done through dance, but even, dance as well, but those told stories. And so we're really wired that way. And I think we're the only animal on the planet that writes stories, that tells stories. So it's not this new, invention. It's been around. I mean, that's what humanity is. So I completely
Mhm.
agree.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a defining trait of humanity, our most human expression through
Yes.
stories.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, getting back to the very beginning, that's why I wanted to be a writer. I like teaching, and I think I will be teaching in future as well. But I writing is very important to me, always has been, because it is that chance to not just to express yourself, but to express what you believe is what is the human experience, how do we approach this life, how do we interact with the universe that we're a part of. And it's funny because even in a small story or a live tweeted story, you still have an opportunity to get that across. It may be subtle. If it's obvious, you're doing it wrong. it's
Right. Right. Right.
if it's obvious, it's a ham-handed moral, right? You're doing it wrong, but you still have a chance to convey that worldview. And with Conspiracy Research Club, my favorite thing to convey is a sense of mystery, right? That
Yeah.
sense of the
I
world.
tend to interrupt. Sorry.
No, Yuka, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I have a last question that I love to ask Rebecca. So Rebecca, I get that. So your focus is more script, or maybe script may not be the right word, like a storyline, the message that the content should convey. But how about visual part? Like any anime and comics, they always come with the pictures. So are you guys doing something unique to differentiate? Because the reason that I'm asking you is uh, these days when I see anime, they're always doing something very creative. I hear, let some humans do the moving, and then those the comic or anime artists sort of like a copy down those human movement.
Hmm.
So is the visual part is the play a part for your service?
Is that, yeah, the visual part is part of it. For me, I one of the reasons I love working in comics is because I love the visual side. I can't draw at all. I just stick figures, but I love working with artists, and particularly I've been working with two amazing artists, Roisin and Katarina. Um, we've had many great artists in the company. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble because I called out two of them in particular. You're all great. I love you all. But
Right. Yes.
but Roisin and Katarina are particularly talented.
Mhm.
Um, and Roisin was our lead artist, and Katarina illustrates the Paranormal Research Club. Uh,
Mhm.
they working with them is lovely because I will write something down in the script and they will look at it and they will somehow, like 90% of the time they can reproduce what I'm seeing in my mind on the paper. And of course, it's a process, right? Because I learned their style, so I start seeing it in their style, and then they're able to
Ah, yeah.
transmit better, right? But they're incredible. And but with the animation, it is innovative, but if it's innovative more in technique than in style. Because what we do, and this is a little technical and beyond me, our animation studio is, it's a bunch of geniuses that I can't keep up with. But we combine traditional animation techniques with VTuber rigs. And the idea then is with the VTuber rig, you can do selfie style videos, which is a big part of our style. I should have said that earlier. Big part of our style is a selfie style, because the idea is that the characters themselves are posting, right? So when they take a picture, it's almost always a selfie, or when they take a video, they're in the frame. And the VTuber rig works very well for that. It lets us animate much, much faster. So it means that, if we want to create a video of Luna responding to a fan, we can get that done in a week and posted, as opposed to traditional animation, which would take much longer. And combining those two has meant much faster animation, which means we can respond faster, we can post faster. If the storyline goes off in a different direction, as we discussed earlier in this call, they can adjust faster. It's been very interesting to watch. It has really evolved. If you go to, the first videos on our TikTok page and watch all the way through to the end, you can see that the animation just, every video it's improving and getting more and more interesting to watch. So they've done amazing work, our animation studio.
Could you help an old boomer out and answer this silly question? What VTuber? What is that term? What does it mean?
Sure. VTubers are, I'm sure you've probably seen them. They stream or they create videos, and it's usually from the waist up, a cartoon character, basically an anime character. Sometimes 3D, usually 2D. At least usually 2D in my experience. And there's a person behind the camera who's moving and talking, but what the viewers see is that character. And so it's like you're putting on a mask or a puppet. And then you can create a video as that character, or have a stream and interact with fans as that character. So it's really incredible. And the rigs have been improving so rapidly, that now, you can see a lot of expressions, and you can see a lot of different movements. And it's, Merriweather, who's the creator of Conspiracy Research Club, and also, actually, I should have mentioned, came back recently as the lead writer, has his own VTuber channel and a VTubing group. He started a VTuber agency. I think you're going to be seeing a lot more of this, because this is kind of the hot new thing. Is until recently, VTubers, it's frequently a little prurient. You have, beautiful girls, beautiful anime girls, right, creating videos and talking to their fans, and there hasn't been much storyline. But that's one of the things that Merriweather with his agency and Go 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 Comic want to change, is that you can use this technology to create ongoing storylines and ongoing universes, and to use them as part of that transmedia tactic. Right. So it wouldn't just be we're posting videos and we're posting comics. It'd be Luna, somebody playing Luna, but they would see Luna on screen, can talk to fans directly. And, she can hop on a stream, they can play a game together, and she can answer questions or not answer their questions in mysterious and, intriguing ways. Right.
This is so good. I just a couple of quick comments. This hour went way too fast. I could listen to you for the next hour and I would still not be happy, which means we got to have you back. And and the other thing is, you would love to meet our friend Benati, because she loves stories. She loves, and she turned me on to the Apple Clips app, where you put those characters in front of your face. And I actually did a music video with a singing shark using that. I had a green screen behind me, and so it sounds similar to maybe just much more simple technology, but just it's a selfie, but you got the face in front of you of whatever, the shark or the mouse or whatever. So what a great. I hope I would love to get you and Benatti together sometime too, because I know this is the kind of stuff that interests her, and she has done a lot of educating this old boomer just like you have. So I really appreciate it.
You know what's we know what the sad thing is you know who the real TikTok expert is?
Your husband, the boomer. Yay, take one for the boomers. Yeah, great.
When we got, I watch TikTok more now, but when we got started posting on TikTok, I actually went to him and said, Linus, what are the kids doing these days? I don't understand this app. Can you help me out? He showed me. He's like, okay, well, these are the dance trends, okay, and this is this is how you use a sound, and right. So all of these.
Okay. Yuka, go ahead. Apologies, Yuka.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what?
No, I think that you wanted to chime in.
No, because VTuber, I mean, I was just thinking, Rebecca, because there's a Japanese company called Any Color, which I peeled, I think it's, last, maybe 2022. And then I was thinking, there are competition brewing right here. So, yeah, and then I see these days on YouTube, there are so many VTubers. I think because they can do much more than the humans can. So like you said, you're right. That's a very interesting development. And by the way, so, I'm not really active in TikTok, and you makes me feel like maybe I should really go into TikTok more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
So
the great thing about TikTok is that, whatever your interest is, I can guarantee there's 1,000 videos about it. So you just got to
TikTok, TikTok may go away from the US. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but there is this Congress is working to ban it. I don't know, that might be only the talk, but I'm sure they're going to come up with something, different. I'm sorry. Maybe that's just, I'm sorry. Just cut this comment off.
We want to avoid that.
Because this is actually, I have been very keen to see Go Comic create its own platform for this reason.
Right.
And that's it's something we are working on. That's another one of those things that I can't say a lot about. But there's things that works. There's also some debate though, right? If we have our own platform, it's harder for people to discover us and to discover our stories. But our own platform would provide stability that Twitter and TikTok are not offering, right?
Yeah.
The nice thing about short form anime is that you don't have to post on TikTok. It can be posted on YouTube. It can be posted on Reels. It can be anywhere short form videos are allowed, which is everywhere these days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Well, thanks.
I enjoyed this conversation very much. I wanted to say you exceeded my. I had high expectations, but this was great. I know I could speak for you. I can read Maya's mind. We definitely want you back.
Okay, I'd love to come back and ramble at you some more about VTubers and Transmedia and all that. We should get a real VTuber expert on here, because I'm kind of a noob to the whole thing. I was just sitting here worrying, did I just say something weird about VTubers? Did I say something inaccurate? Because it's a bit like TikTok, Go Comic has led me in this direction, and now I got to do the research and catch up with what all the cool kids are doing these days.
Okay. Yeah.
We're very lucky to have Merriweather, who's an expert. His Merry dog is huge. So I'm gonna, send you a link. You can see.
Please. Yes. Okay. Please do share the links with us, and I will put them up on LinkedIn and also YouTube, so that everybody who watches the podcast will be free and of course able to click on the links and go there. So, and Rebecca, yes, just as Tim said, I could listen to you, forever, at least for the next 1 or 2 hours. But yes, it's Wednesday morning, so we should let people go around their day. And definitely, let's do it again, please. So, and Yes, so I will also contact you about that project which I have in mind, and I would like to talk with you about. So thanks very much for today. Really, I know that you're a busy person, and we appreciate your time with us. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot.
Thank
It's
you
been
so much. I really enjoyed it.
yeah, me
Yes,
too.
Thank you. Please come back soon.
Will do.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, okay.